Good morning, trading world. It is March 29th, 2022, 7:44 a.m. on the East Coast, and this is my pre-market outlook and technical analysis for day trading the SPY. The title for today's outlook is Air Pockets and Algos, an explosive combination. A lot of traders will say they don't see where the buyers are coming from and how are we continuing to go up with decreasing volume. There are places on the chart where there is little to no trade volume on the way to a support or resistance area. I like to call these places air pockets. Using a volume profile, which is this blue area over here on the side of the chart, make it a lot easier to see these so-called air pockets. These air pockets have very little trade volume and allow price action to move quickly through them with little to no hesitation. So let me bring up some drawing aids. And all right, so right here you see where volume extends up on the volume profile. I mean, there's a healthy amount of volume at this 454 area. But right here, there's not a lot of volume. This is what I call an air pocket. And when we hit these air pockets, there's little to no volume here to delay price or give price any resistance. So we usually slice through these areas pretty fast. Now, algos like slopes, and where human traders see overbought conditions as a place to sell or go short, algos like to buy into strength or sell into weakness. So right here at the bottom we have an RSI, and right here you can see we're clearly into overbought territory, and right here again we're reaching into overbought territory. Now, overbought is a condition. It's not a trigger for a trade anymore. It is just a condition, and we can stay in these conditions for long periods of time. So whereas most people see the RSI reaching over into this overbought area and they look to go short, this is where algos kick on and buy more into strength, because they see this as strength going into overbought. It is no longer a trade trigger. And this is where a lot of traders get it wrong, where we think that just because we're overbought, it's a trigger to go short or to execute a trade to go short, but it is not. And algos have pretty much made a living with their super fast in and out action to carry us deeper and deeper into this overbought territory. So as you see somewhere to go short, the algos see strength and buy into it. Now, when you pair overbought with air pockets. All it takes is a few well-placed orders in and around these air pockets, and this can go a long way to pushing us to and through these air pockets. So this is where the algos will kick on and drive us and continue to drive us up, and you'll see what looks like absolutely no volume, because it doesn't take a lot of volume here to push us through these air pockets. So today seemed like a great time to explain this concept, because we're at an air pocket, and we are at a level in the chart where we just entered into we're just newly into another channel, and with us being in this new channel, it seems likely that the algos could take over and push us even higher right now. I'm not saying it has to happen. I'm not saying it will happen, but I'm just saying things are lining up where it makes a lot of sense for this to happen. So I will kind of pair that with a few more things as I go through the key levels for today. So let me bring those up. All right, here we are with the key levels of the day, starting on the resistance side. Jack resistance, we have 458 to 459 area. Queen resistance, we have the 460 to 462 area. And king resistance, we have 463 to the 467 area. On the support side, we have Jack support at 456 through 455. Queen support, we have 454 to the 453 area. And king support, we have 452 down to the 447 area. The main thesis for today is bearish, closing below 455.91 with a projected low or target of 453 to 450. The alternate thesis is bullish, closing above 455.91 with a projected high or target of 459 to 463. The time frame that is in control is now the weekly, as the daily goes deeper into overbought territory. I want to warn you, never short a MACD with increasing positive delta between the MACD line and the signal line. And this condition exists on the daily, the 4-hour, and the hourly chart right now. I don't want to erase my drawings, but I do want to expand on such a thing as the MACD expanding. I may have to bring that back up because I don't want to go back and have to redraw all of this. But let's see if we can come back to it. So, as I said, the main thesis is bearish today. That's just what the numbers say. But when you combine that with the indicators and things that you see and feel in the charts, it bears a increasing probability for the alternative thesis today. And as I've said before, when you have an alternative thesis where there's a lot of people stacked to one side looking for a short, it builds what's known as a short squeeze. Short squeezes can be very violent or explosive moves to the opposite direction. So everything I see this morning builds more so toward that alternate thesis, giving us an explosive movement this morning on that alternate thesis. Let me bring up the scenarios for the day. All right, our first scenario is the expansive range day, which could have us look to set a decision area upper boundary around the jack or queen resistance area, then see us chop lower below the previous close and find support, and then come back to push this boundary area even higher on the day. So that's our expansive range day structure. And again, what separates the range day from the trend day is the close below the previous close. So that is scenario number one, which has a 36% probability of happening today. All right, scenario number two, and by the feel of things as we get closer to the cash open, this is starting to build and feel like this should be the number one scenario. But we look at our trend day up structure. We open gap up and start with a fade back toward the previous close. We find support on or before that previous close, then begin our uptrend for the morning. We find midday chop around either the possible queen or king resistance area. And as strong as to the signs for the higher time frames are, usually we fade into the close, but because of that strength on the higher time frames, it is quite possible that we keep picking up and carrying higher into and through the close. So that is our trend day structure, which again, as we get closer to the open, is starting to change over and look like the number one scenario. All right, our third scenario is our rounded reversal day type structure. We could get a continued push higher toward jack or queen resistance area and find midday chop around either the queen or king resistance area before spending the same energy we use going up to come back down the second half of the day. This also does carry a vice versa scenario, which would look something like this. So just be aware of that, but there's so much strength on the higher time frames. And again, the warning to all traders is you never short a MACD where you have increasing positive delta between the MACD line and the signal line. And now that I've gone through the scenarios, let me bring that up because I feel that's very important, because it could save you from entering a lot of busted shorts for people who look at things and look at something being in an overbought condition and wonder why they're getting beat out of their positions because it's overbought and you thought it was a trigger when it's just a condition. Okay, this is something that I wanted to go back and I've stressed over and over today, and I just want to go back and make sure you understand and see the concept for yourself. I've stressed today that you never short a MACD with increasing positive delta between the MACD line and the signal line. And what I mean, as you can see, this is a volume weighted MACD. And on the MACD, you see the histogram bars. The histogram bars are basically a picture of the delta between the signal line and the MACD line. So as the histogram bars start to get larger and larger, that means the delta between the signal line and the MACD line, there's a positive momentum that is growing. So you never want to short something like this. When you see this, where that positive momentum is growing, it's not as strong, but it is there on the regular MACD as well, where you have positive delta gaining between the MACD line and the signal line. These days where you see this, trying to take shorts on something like this, or where you can seriously blow your account out, because if you're trying to short something like this, the probability of you seeing an outside move go against you are very, very great. So that's what I wanted to sort of stress to you. And this is not only on the daily, but it is on the daily, the 4-hour, and the building on the hourly. So even though the delta is not as pronounced as it is here on the daily, it's starting to make some separation on the 4-hour. It's starting to peak on the hourly. And these are conditions in which I would prefer not to short. Even if we're at one of these all-time resistance levels where everything you see is to the short side, when you see this, this is a no-win short situation for me, where I would rather just sit on my hands and not do anything if the choice was to short upon seeing something like this. So even though the main thesis is bearish, I'm giving you why the alternate thesis will be so explosive today, and why I am pretty much teaming on the alternate thesis side today. So I hope this helps. As always, please understand the risk that you enter into with your positions, because as traders, the most important thing to you is your capital, and you must protect it at all costs. As always, wishing you a positive trading day. Have a great one.